Well, good morning and welcome to the Tennessee Valley this morning. Glad you joined us on this Thursday morning edition. Going to be another hot one today. It's already 71 degrees. We'll have your forecast in just a moment. First of all, let me tell you what's happening today. We're going to have Senator Mike Bell will be here from the 9th District Senate of Tennessee. And also Allison Inman, TV producer and documentary producer extraordinaire. She's here to tell us about the premiere of the Wild River documentary. Been filming it and editing it for the last several months, and she's here to tell us about that. And the premiere is coming up tonight. You want to know about that. Also, Wes Robbins from Landmark Insurance and Brokerage will be on hand to give us some financial advice. But right now, let's take a look at your headline news. A bill pending in the state legislature could give a big impact on the public school schedule in Bradley County. The bill would require that students return to school no earlier than the fourth Monday in August for the 2013-14 school year. The bill has passed the House and is awaiting a Senate vote in the next session in January. Class schedules have traditionally been the decision of the school board for each county. A medical examiner's report shows a Florida woman who slashed a Bradley County deputy and commandeered his patrol car on May 21st was shot 7 times by the officer as she sped away from the scene on I-75. Deputy Dustin Patrick remains on paid administrative leave while the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation continues its investigation. Bradley County trustee Mike Smith says his office began taking partial payments for delinquent property taxes yesterday. Only delinquent property taxes from 2010 and later are eligible for the partial payment options. Unpaid property taxes are kept for 1 year before the trustee's office turns them over to the clerk and master's office for collection or property sale. The payments can be made at the trustee's office in the Bradley County Courthouse. A FEMA official told the Bradley County Long-Term Recovery Committee yesterday that 1,432 residents have registered for disaster assistance. So far, 196 families have been approved for assistance, and FEMA has also approved $477,180 in housing grant assistance for those families. Storm survivors have 60 days from the time of the presidential disaster declaration to register for FEMA assistance. The Bradley County area has received 28.95 inches of rainfall for the year 2011. According to Cleveland Utilities Water Division, that puts us about 5 inches above normal. If the trend continues, Cleveland's rainfall is on tap to finish the year with 69.48 inches of rainfall, which would be about 15 inches above average, which is a good thing. However, the rainfall has slowed down for the last 12 days leading up to last Thursday's showers, with only 3.11 inches of rain falling in May. So we hope that slacking trend doesn't continue. That's your headline news. Let's take a look at your weather forecast, and it's more of the same that it was yesterday. Mostly sunny, high of 95, chance of rain tomorrow, and chance of rain on Saturday. What I had a while ago looks like it's changed. But at least there's a slight chance of rain tomorrow. And the highs will be in the mid 90s, it looks like, and with lows in the mid to upper 60s. Right now it's already warm, 71 degrees, so it's going to be a scorcher today. And it's 6:35, and I'm back with my very first guest, and her name is Allison Inman, and an old friend and family friend, and we're just thrilled to have you on the show today, Allison.
Well, likewise. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
You're in town for a very special event, and it's the culmination of a project that you've been working on for how many months now?
It's been about a year now.
Really?
Not solid work, but we started at about, well, actually more than a year, about April of last year.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And this is a documentary based on something that happened in Bradley County
a
long time ago.
51 years ago. It's a documentary about the making of Elia Kazan's Wild River. It's called Mud on the Stars, Stories from Elia Kazan's Wild River.
Yeah.
And it's a documentary that tells the local story behind the shooting of the film in 1960 and also follows the towns of Cleveland and Charleston as they prepare for the 50th anniversary celebration.
Now, Elia Kazan was
He was a great film director who died a few years ago. He made Streetcar Named Desire with Marlon Brando.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Vivian Leigh,
a classic.
Yes, and On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando, and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and Face in the Crowd with Andy Griffith.
Oh yeah, all of those movies.
Yeah.
I remember the titles.
And this is a sort of a lost classic of his, Wild River, and I know many local people haven't even seen the film, but it's gotten a lot of attention this year. Martin Scorsese made a documentary about Kazan, and he really focused on Wild River. So it's a lot of film nerds around the world love Wild River, so I think they're going to be excited that we made a documentary about the making of it.
And it has the distinction of being the only film filmed entirely in Tennessee, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Or it was the first. It was the first film shot entirely in Tennessee.
And that was back in the It
was 1960. So they shot it in 59, and it was released in May of 1960.
Okay. And this, of course, was the kind of the telling of TVA when it came into the region back in the 30s.
Yes, it's a beautiful story about a local family or local woman named Ella Garth, played by Jo Van Fleet, who is the last person to sell her land to the TVA. When the TVA wants to come in to build a dam to protect the people from flooding, they have to flood the land, and she's the one who won't go. So they send this bureaucrat from Washington, played by Montgomery Clift, down and to
big
to
star
talk her
in
off her
his
land.
day.
Absolutely.
Oh, he was
huge. He's
he
like people compare him to
like
James Dean.
Yeah, I was going to say he was like the Brad Pitt of his day, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he falls in love with Ella Garth's daughter, played by Lee Remick, who was also a beautiful starlet, and pushed her baby carriage down the streets of downtown Cleveland. They stayed at the Cherokee Hotel.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, great memories, and you've captured that in the documentary. And your project, we've got a clip from the project, but let's talk a little bit about how you got started in this project, and then let's take a look at the clip.
Okay, yes. So the film, our documentary Mud on the Stars, was produced by Life Care Media Center and Cleveland Bradley Chamber of Commerce, and I live in Nashville now, but I lived in Cleveland for 3 years in the 90s and worked at Life Care Centers of America. In their PR department, and so they brought me on at first to write the script for this documentary, and then they ended up asking me to direct it. So I didn't produce it; I just directed it. So I came up with the story, how we wanted to tell the story, and have spent a lot of time with our editor Eric Hultquist, and I was just so thrilled to be brought on to do this. It's my first film. I've been trying to make some other ones, but it was really nice to have the support to make one.
And you have a vast background, though. I think you've worked with the PBS stations in Denver.
Yeah, I work in public media and do a documentary screening series in Nashville.
And that's great. Well, let's take a look at the clip that you brought us today, and then we'll come back and talk about it a little more. Here's a clip from the documentary Wild River.
And 50 years ago now, there wasn't a lot of movie making, especially around here.
I had one lady tell me that they would see the limousine going by with Montgomery Clift and Lee Remick every day, and they were like so excited to see movie stars every day.
I was afraid of Mr. Kazan when I first met him. I was afraid I'd be in the wrong place at the wrong time or say something and I would mess up the film, and then I found out that they were human and they just glad you would talk to them. I've got some of his letters here. Dear Carolyn, thank you for the clipping. I had already seen it, but I was awfully glad to hear from you and glad to hear your family's fine. So is mine. Give my best to Judy. I've got her picture on the wall, and every once in a while we talk about her. She sure is a nice girl, and so's her old lady. My best, Eli Kazan. But I thought that was my favorite. See why?
Wow, those are some local characters that you captured in this documentary. And the documentary, by the way, is called Mud on the Stars, right? And it's about Elia Kazan's Wild River, which was filmed, if you just tuned in, filmed here in Bradley County and in Charleston. Tell me about some of the people that you have in the documentary here.
Yes, the woman you saw there was Miss Carolyn Harris, who lives here in Cleveland, and her daughter, Judy, well, Carolyn was in the movie, but her daughter, Judy, was had a pretty big role in the film at age 7. She played the daughter of Lee Remick, and so she had a whole bunch of scenes with Montgomery Clift and Lee Remick. And but Carolyn was also asked to be in the film to play one of the ladies in the TVA office, but she couldn't take care of Judy on set and act in the film. But she is an extra, so you can see her in the film. But she has been one of our greatest historians in the film. She remembers a whole lot, and she became close with Kazan. or at least they corresponded for years. So she's provided us a whole lot of information. Also, David Swafford is kind of our protagonist in the film. We're following David as he writes his book about Wild River.
And of course, David is a local fella. Historian, and has just been invaluable in some of the other projects that the Chamber has had as far as telling the story of the history of this area. And so he was a great source for you, I assume.
Absolutely, and he's just such an interesting guy. He works as a welder, and he was working second shift, and then he comes home and tries to write this book in a spiral notebook. He just works so hard, and he's so he's just so passionate about Wild River, and so we really enjoyed following him and getting so much information and research from him.
Oh,
so
and he's
a
got
treasure.
it all up in his head.
He
And
does.
You can ask him a question about a certain date and a certain thing, and he'll, no, this happened this way.
Well,
it's really incredible.
True. But the thing is, this is an important event in the history of this county, I think, and I just wonder if it might have just all gone away and been forgotten if David hadn't put his life into preserving this story. So that's kind of what we're trying to tell in our documentary. In addition to telling the story about Wild River, we're showing David Swafford and many other people in Bradley County.
Yeah, and of course this is all leading up to a huge event starting tonight.
It's tonight.
And I think proceeding on through the weekend in Charleston.
That's right.
But tonight is the big premiere. Talk about that.
It's the big premiere, and it's one night only. We're showing the film finally. I'm so excited to be showing it to people in Bradley County, but that's tonight at the museum at 5 Points on Inman Street. And I know everybody knows that, but I just like to say it since that's my name. But it starts at 7, and we're having, it's free and open to the public. We'll have popcorn and drinks for sale.
I plan to be there.
Okay, good. And we're having a Q&A afterwards with me and anyone else who wants to come up who was in the documentary.
Oh,
I'm not even sure who's going to be there yet.
But somebody will be there.
Absolutely.
And it starts at 7 o'clock.
At 7 p.m.
And then what about the weekend? I understand it's showing again in Charleston.
You know, I heard that, but I haven't really, I don't know any details about it.
I got that from the Chamber of Commerce. Your friend, Melissa Woody, was telling me about it.
Yeah, I heard that too. So I don't know. I know David's going to have his display down in Natalie's, in the old gas station on Charleston, on whatever that, Concrete Highway. Yeah. So I think they're going to show maybe the film in there, and if they want to show my documentary, I think we can do that too. I'm not sure of any details. So just come check us out, I guess.
Yeah, 7 o'clock tonight, free popcorn, and you get to premiere the documentary Mud on the Stars.
Mud on the Stars stories.
Now, I'm curious about that title. Talk about that a little bit. I know there's a reason for it.
Yeah, it's kind of a play on a novel that Wild River was based on by William Bradford Huey called Mud on the Stars. And the Wild River was based on that novel, another novel called Dunbar's Cove by Borden Deal, and also by the real-life story of Maddie Randolph, whose ancestors live in this area. She was the woman whose story is told in the federal archives, who would not get off her land.
I see.
For the TVA.
Yeah, and there was apparently a lot of that. People who did not want to move, they didn't see the need for it, and they had been on the land for generations.
Absolutely.
And TVA basically said it's for the greater good. And of course, now looking back, what would we do without TVA?
Yeah, that's true.
It really brought the Tennessee Valley and the southeast part of the United States into the modern era.
It did. It was a difficult time, though.
But there was some pain, a lot of pain that went with it.
A lot of pain. And yeah, you can definitely see that when you talk to ancestors whose family had to sell their land. It just, that wound never really heals when you have to give up your home place.
And so if you can see the movie, is there a place where you can see the movie or rent the movie?
Okay, that's a great question. No, it's never been available on DVD.
Oh.
It's part of a Kazan box set that was released last year. We're hoping that 20th Century Fox will release the DVD later this year with our documentary as an extra on it.
That would be fantastic.
That's our hope. We've talked to them and they've shown some interest, so we'll see.
Oh.
Everybody keep their fingers crossed for that.
Yeah, I hope that works. Wow. That would be fantastic. Well, I'm excited about seeing the premiere of your documentary, Mud on the Stars, tonight, 7 o'clock, Museum Center at 5 Points. No charge.
No charge.
Free admission.
Free admission. I think you do have to pay for the popcorn, though.
Oh, you do? Well, that's as long as it's not as expensive as some places I go.
I'm sure it's not at all.
Now, they're going to have a red carpet and all that? Or just
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Well,
I didn't really plan the event. I'm just going to show up.
Yeah, well, we need a red carpet.
I know.
And it's your movie, and your name is Allison Inman, and it's on Inman Street.
Absolutely.
And so,
I'm going to try to be glamorous.
Yeah, well, we need to dress up in your finest. I'll be there, and I know some other folks that are going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really anxious to see it. You know, after after a year working on projects or this type of project, I know you have a lot of anticipation, wondering how it's going to be received.
I do, but you know, if I can say, I'm really proud of it, and I think
sure
that
you are.
it's a great. I think it's an interesting story, whether you've seen Wild River or not, because it's about these local people, and in a way, it's just. I just think it's just such a wonderful representation of the people in this county, and it's just nice human stories, and I think everybody will like it, whether they've seen Wild River
I'm sure
or not.
they will. I met some of the people. You had a kickoff event about a year ago, I think, when you previewed just a few of the clips that you had already shot. And I got to meet some of the people who are in the documentary, and I think the little girl that played one of the main characters.
Judy Harris Spurgeon, she lives in Charlotte. She can't come tonight, but, and Miss Frances Cheatham, who's 87 years old, she played the nanny in the movie, and she was here last year.
Yes, she was.
She wasn't able to make it tonight, but her daughter Vicki came down from Wisconsin to be with us tonight.
Yeah. Oh, so it's going to be a great evening of reminiscing.
Yes.
It's going to be fun.
Absolutely.
Well, is there in the future, will there be an avenue where a person can purchase a copy of the documentary?
I hope so. Well, I hope it'll be a DVD extra on the release of Wild River, but we're working all that out. But we have a website. It's mudonthestars.com. Okay. So you can go to that and read updates. We post some things. I've got a trailer on mudonthestars.com too, if anybody wants to check that out.
Mudonthestars.com. Check it out. Allison Inman, my guest this morning. Wow, what an interesting project you've been involved in. It's just great, and I can't wait to see it tonight.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to have the chance to do it.
It's going to be at the Museum Center at 7 o'clock tonight, and it's the culmination of about a year of hard labor, intense labor, and it's so much fun to see these things come to fruition after you've worked on them for so long. Yeah. We've got to take a break, and it's 6:48. Allison Inman has been my guest, and we appreciate her coming on, getting up so early to come in and talk about your project. Appreciate it a lot. 6:48, 71 degrees, back in just a moment on the Tennessee Valley This Morning.
I'm Wes Robbins with Landmark Insurance Brokerage. When it comes to employee benefits, we've got you covered. Call me today for the best service and best solutions to your group health and employee benefits needs. At Landmark Insurance Brokerage, we've got you covered.
I'm Dr. James Markham, host of the television program Heart of Health, seen right here on WTNB television. Thursday at 7 o'clock, Friday at 8 a.m., or Sunday at 3:30 p.m.
Volunteer Ridipest LLC has been serving Cleveland and the surrounding areas for over 40 years. Their qualified, experienced technicians are trained in all the latest techniques to keep your home pest-free. Volunteer Ridipest LLC offers Mosquito Guard, which keeps mosquitoes out of your yard and out of your life. Their monthly and quarterly treatments are backed by their 100% money-back guarantee. For all your pest removal needs, call Volunteer Ridipest LLC today at 423-472-7736.
Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland, is your #1 Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep dealer in this area. Stop by and see the brand new 2011 Chrysler 200. The 200 is essentially a new nameplate with a significant facelift to the outgoing 2010 Chrysler Sebring. A beautiful vehicle at an unbeatable price. And while you're there, check out the all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee and the newly designed Dodge Durango. Redesigned, revamped, and reinvigorated. Yes, the Dodge Durango is back, bigger and better than ever. Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep offers a complete parts and service department with qualified service technicians to fix and repair your vehicle. So for your next brand new or pre-owned vehicle, make it Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland.
Well, welcome back, and look who's here. This is Robin Torero, my co-host and also business owner of the Wellness, help me out here.
Center Compounding Pharmacy.
See, I had the first name right.
It could be a mouthful.
Wellness. See, as long as I got wellness, I'm headed in the right direction.
Yeah, for many years, wellness store.
Yeah.
And
it was there next to Baskin Robbins
for
quite a while, and then you moved up to a bigger and more spacious place up the hill.
Yes, at Creekside.
Creekside, across from the Life Care corporate office.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Changed mine into Wellness Center Compounding Pharmacy to kind of differentiate myself from a health food store.
Yeah,
which
yeah. Some people probably thought you were that until they came in and talked to you and said, this is not what I thought it was.
Yeah.
You really are a pharmacy.
Exactly, yes. We
and you're a little bit unique pharmacy, though. Talk
very
about
much so.
what sets you apart from the regular pharmacy down the street.
Oh my, well see, we do compounding only.
Now what does that mean?
Well, basically what that means is we do specialized prescriptions for things that are not commercially available.
I see.
Drug companies do not make the things that I make, or either they don't make them in the form that's needed. Say, for example, maybe something's just available in a tablet and they need it in a liquid because someone can't swallow tablets. That would be a very simple thing. But then there's products that sometimes are back ordered. They're unavailable temporarily unavailable from the manufacturer, and those are times when compounders can really save the day in a sense.
I guess
for being able to come in and compound. Like interestingly, B12 injection right now is a manufacturer back order.
Really?
Yeah.
Now the B12, we have to have B12, don't we? I mean, it's
and that's commonly used in physicians' offices.
Yeah.
Well, when it's back ordered, like it is now and available, you compounding pharmacists like myself, we literally can make that injection for the office.
Really? Now, how do you do that? Don't give away any trade secrets, but how do you do that?
Well, of course, we have a sterile, clean room, a place where we can put it together in a sterile environment. But it's a combination
of various ingredients?
Yes, of course, cyanocobalamin, B12 is going to be the key ingredient. It's like I have a recipe, Dan.
Okay, see, I can understand recipes because I cook. I can read a recipe.
It's more or less like that. I have a recipe, and we know how much of the drug, the B12, the vitamin that we would need to put in, and we know what it mixes in properly. We know, what will preserve it properly. And then it's filtered under a special hood to keep it a sterile environment. Of course, it's all gloved up and everything because it is going to be injected.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's
amazing, huh?
Yeah.
But you also.
I'll give you a sneak peek behind the scenes.
Okay, I'll come and can I get the tour?
Absolutely.
You have like a 50-cent tour and a $2 tour.
I have a $15 tour.
I'll take that one, because that's got to be interesting. But you focus on some other things as well, and you specifically focus on wellness because that's a part of your name.
Absolutely, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fell in love with that whole end of the business. I stumbled on it when I first opened the wellness store, Wellness Center Compounding Pharmacy. I did it for the women's health.
Yeah.
The bioidentical hormone replacement. And I thought, well, if I put some vitamins out here on the shelf, that kind of fits in. Hopefully, they work. It was kind of my attitude, honestly. And then I just got into a whole new area of medicine and learned so much about the true benefits of nutrition, and that's really what it is. The FDA considers these things to be nutritional products and or food products. So. Seminars for years and integrative medicine, combining natural with regular prescription drugs for the best outcome.
Well, talk about your seminars.
Well, I do seminars on various things. I do them on the bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I do them on men's health now. Because men, as well as we have learned, their testosterone levels drop at certainly around 45 or so, and that affects bone health and depression can be. There's many things that are associated with hormone levels in both men and women that we don't. Absolutely. So anyway, I do that. Adrenals, the adrenal glands, which is the gland that responds to stress. That is so important, and it is there's so few people that know about that, and many times that's what's going on when women
and men just can't seem to get their energy back. They're tired, or they can't sleep. They have this tape that goes on all the time in their head, and they can't, no matter what doses of hormones they take, they can't get rid of hot flashes and night sweats and things of that nature. And many times it's the adrenal glands.
Really?
And and we know how, and we can test for that.
Oh, well, that was my next question.
Yeah.
How do you tell? So.
Well, you do saliva testing,
and test, you can do that at your pharmacy?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Certainly can. We have saliva test kits, and then we have supplements that that we would give depending on how the test results came back. And it's especially important for men and women to realize when they have been through the stress and the traumatic event of these tornadoes. Most of us are challenged already.
You're right.
Because of the lifestyles that we lead.
Frantic, it seems like.
Exactly, and when then your home is swept away, or even if it was just the whole impact of what's happened in the community, it is a major issue that I feel is not being addressed because we really don't know to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to reach out to ladies and say, if you're experiencing these things, come by and let us give you some information, and maybe guide you along and help you to to understand that this is a key component, because the cortisol.
Cortisol, I've heard that name used.
Yeah, adrenaline.
Yeah.
All that's from the adrenal glands. And so when and it's oftentimes after you're through the stress that you crash, because when you're in the middle of it,
you're going on adrenaline, as
you're
they
going
say.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And you're sort of pumping the well dry, so to speak.
Yeah. Now, what about insurance coverage with your pharmacy? Are some of these products covered by insurance?
Well, the compounded products are covered by many of the health plan, the prescription plans now.
Are they?
A lot of times it's the higher copays, and sometimes my regular price on the compounds is less than the copays, but we still, try to build that, and that's not always the case. The flex cards can be used, the flexible spending accounts, and the health savings accounts. And the first of the year, the laws on that were changed, where if you had a nutritional supplement, the flex cards would not pay for it unless it was prescribed by your physician.
I see.
So, if it's something like fish oil, or coenzyme Q10, these things have major scientific studies to back up. And if it's something like that, we can get it on a prescription, and then the flex cards,
I see.
Can pay for that.
Well, wellness to me, I've been a part of a wellness plan now for 3.5 years, and wellness to me is while it may cost a little bit to be a part of a wellness plan, I find it to be much cheaper than going to the hospital and being sick. So it's a good thing. Preventive medicine is really where we ought to focus, and it seems like for so many years we focused on treating the symptom rather than preventing the illness. And it's great when we find somebody who's really working with a wellness plan, which is what you do.
That is what I do. I'm not anti-prescription drugs. I'm not, all natural. Well, okay, fine. Snake bites are natural.
Yeah, right.
If you just, they are. We don't want them.
That's a unique way of putting it.
And just because it's natural doesn't mean it's harmless.
Yeah.
And I of course have people in the past who come in and they say, well, I have high blood pressure and I have thyroid problems and I'm borderline diabetic and I'm just sick of this prescription medicine and I've just stopped all of it. And I want you to tell me what to do from natural. And it's like, no, hold up.
this is not the way we do it. It's not the way I do it. This is not what I do at the Wellness Center at all.
First of all, you have to listen to your doctor.
That's correct. That's right. And then we get a plan going, and we see what we can bring in and what we can take away a little at a time, or whatever. And that's why we call it integrative. Right. Because we integrate, you know.
And you work with the physicians.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm one. It's called the triad. You know, the patient, the physician, and the pharmacist.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I've been planning to come by and see your place, and I've just been busy. I've had a lot of things on my plate, and especially since the storms, you know, like most people have been busy, but I've been planning to come by, and I will.
Yeah, I know you will.
I'll come by, and we'll visit, and you can show me, you can give me the $15 tour. Robin Torero, back in a moment. She's my co-host today, and we just got busy talking about wellness. I love to talk about wellness. It really does work. If you'll really focus on wellness, it really does work. And there's nothing better than working on a preventive medicine
That's
scheme.
right. That's true, because it's a lot easier to maintain than to fix.
It is. We got to take a break, some headline news. We're going to come back and talk about some finance and insurance, as well as finance, rather. And we'll be talking to the folks from Landmark Insurance and Brokerage. I had to stop and think in just a moment. I've got so much going on up here this morning. 7:02 and 71 degrees. Back in a moment.
See you in a minute.
Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland, is your #1 Dodge Chrysler and Jeep dealer in this area. Stop by and see the brand new 2011 Chrysler 200. The 200 is essentially a new nameplate with a significant facelift to the outgoing 2010 Chrysler Sebring. A beautiful vehicle at an unbeatable price. And while you're there, check out the all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee and the newly designed Dodge Durango. Redesigned, revamped, and reinvigorated. Yes, the Dodge Durango is back, bigger and better than ever. Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep offers a complete parts and service department with qualified service technicians to fix and repair your vehicle. So for your next brand new or pre-owned vehicle, make it Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland.
Volunteer Ridipest LLC has been serving Cleveland and the surrounding areas for over 40 years. Their qualified, experienced technicians are trained in all the latest techniques to keep your home pest-free. Volunteer Ridipest LLC offers Mosquito Guard, which keeps mosquitoes out of your yard and out of your life. Their monthly and quarterly treatments are backed by their 100% money-back guarantee. For all your pest removal needs, call Volunteer Ridipest LLC today at 423-472-7736.
I'm Dr. James Markham, host of the television program Heart of Health, seen right here on WTNB television, Thursday at 7 o'clock, Friday at 8 a.m., or Sunday at 3:30 p.m.
I'm Kathy Guy with Landmark Insurance Brokerage. Call us today for all your personal insurance needs. With 28 years in the insurance business, I have the solutions and pricing you are looking for. At Landmark Insurance Brokerage, we've got you covered.
7:04 is your time. We're carrying on a conversation here during the break. It's a lot of fun. You ought to see what goes on here during the breaks. It's amazing. I'm Dan Howell. Welcome to Tennessee Valley this morning. Robin Torero is my co-host, and we've got Byron Winters here from Landmark Insurance and Brokerage, and we're going to talk to him in just a moment. Right now, let me catch you up to date on the headline news. Oh, but by the way, let me remind you one more time to remember the big event tonight, the premiere at the Museum Center at 5 Points. It's the premiere of the documentary Mud on the Stars about the filming of Elie Kazan's Wild River in Charleston back in the 1950s, and it's going to be a big event. Hope you'll show up tonight at the museum. It's free. They even have popcorn, so make sure that you show up for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I plan to be there. A bill pending in the state legislature could have a big impact on the public school schedule in Bradley County. That bill would require that students return to school no earlier than the fourth Monday in August for the 2013-14 school year. The bill has passed the House and is awaiting a Senate vote in the next session in January. Class schedules have traditionally been the decision of the school board of each county. A medical examiner's report shows a Florida woman who slashed a Bradley County deputy and commandeered his patrol car on May 21st was shot 7 times by the officer as she sped away from the scene on I-75. Deputy Dustin Patrick remains on paid administrative leave while the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation continues its investigation. Bradley County trustee Mike Smith says his office began taking partial payments for delinquent property taxes yesterday. Only delinquent property taxes from 2010 and later are eligible for the partial payment option. Unpaid property taxes are kept for 1 year before the trustee's office turns them over to the clerk and master's office for collection or for the sale of the property. The payments can be made at the trustee's office in the Bradley County Courthouse, by the way. A FEMA official told the Bradley County Long-Term Recovery Committee yesterday at the chamber that 1,437 residents have registered for disaster assistance in Bradley County. So far, 196 of those families have been approved for assistance, and FEMA has paid out $477,180 in housing grant assistance to those 196 families. Storm survivors have 60 days from the time of the presidential disaster declaration to register with FEMA for some assistance. The Bradley County area has received more than its share of rainfall for 2011 so far, 28.95 inches for the year up through the end of May. That's according to the Cleveland Utilities Water Division. That puts us about 5 inches above normal, which is a good thing. If the trend continues, Cleveland's rainfall is on tap to finish the year with 69.48 inches, which would be about 15 inches above average. However, it's on a decline right now. The rain has slowed for the 12 days leading up to last Thursday's thunder showers. Only 3.1 inches of rain fell in the month of May, and we hope that trend downward doesn't continue because we'd like to stay away from the drought that we had here for several years. That's your headline news. Let's take a look at your weather forecast, and it's more of the same, kind of redundant today. Mostly sunny, chance of rain tomorrow, mostly sunny Saturday. Looks like it might be a good boating weekend, though, on the river for this weekend. It's going to be hot, high today in the mid-90s, same tomorrow and Saturday, overnight lows. We're kind of in a rut here. Have you noticed? It's just 90s and 60s, 90s and 60s, and it's hot. I'm trying to stay inside as much as possible. Did you get your boat out this weekend, did you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Can't take much of it.
Yeah, you have to make sure you lather up really good. My granddaughter got sunburned on Sunday, but I lathered up. I learned my lesson. I was the adult on the boat, so I acted like an adult and lathered up really good.
You have a boat, Dan?
I do have a boat. I have a ski boat. I enjoy it.
We're going to be big buddies here.
Yeah. Well, we need to go out. I love to have company. It's no fun boating by yourself.
We used to have a boat, but we moved up here from Florida, and the engine block cracked because we didn't winterize it.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
you
have to do that. You can get away with that in Florida, but not in Tennessee.
You said it.
You got to winterize them. You sure do. Byron Winters is here from Landmark Insurance and Brokerage, and he comes in every Thursday, and it's always good to see Byron come in and talk about some things, and it's especially been an appropriate subject in the aftermath of all the storms we've had. We've talked about some really interesting things, and we've not had a chance to chat, so I'm just going to ask you on the air, what are we talking about today?
Talk about some more homeowners insurance, Dan. We've been talking about homeowners for, I don't know, a month and a half, 2 months now.
Yeah.
There's a different type of homeowners insurance we've not yet covered.
Okay.
Might you guess what that might be, Dan?
Different type of homeowners, would that be, well, we talked about condo insurance.
We did talk about condo insurance.
And homeowners insurance, which is what I have. No, I really...
Renters insurance.
Renters insurance.
Robin's on
now,
it
when
today,
you
Dan.
said homeowners, I thought renters, but I thought, no, they don't own the home, so it won't...
Yeah, I think a lot of folks probably don't think of renters insurance being a part of homeowners insurance, but it certainly
See,
is.
Robin's, she's on her game today, I can tell. She thought of it just like that. Renters insurance. There was a time between when I sold my house and when I bought the new house for several months there that I actually had a renters insurance policy, and it's a good thing to have. I can testify to that.
It is a good thing to have, but if you're like most folks, you probably bought a renter's insurance because you thought about all the property, all the possessions you had you wouldn't want to lose in an event of a fire or tornado. And I think a lot of folks overlook or don't think at all about the liability. exposure they have. So we talked about liability insurance with traditional homeowners insurance in condos. If someone comes in your house and they trip and fall, they could sue you, and there's lawyer fees and legal fees, and there's hospitalization, all these things that could come into the limelight with an event like that, and you need to be properly covered. So a lot of folks, I think that if they're renting, the landlord's responsible for everything, outside, inside, the building. They probably don't think that their possessions are covered by the landlord's policy, but I think, and I did think when I was a renter years ago, that renter's insurance was for your possessions. And there's more to it than that. So.
Is there? So explain the details of that then.
Well, liability insurance is something good to have, like I mentioned, in the event of a lawsuit or something, that somebody gets hurt and you're liable.
You live there. It's basically your house, even though you're renting.
Right.
Somebody trips on the sidewalk.
Well, not outside. Inside.
Okay.
So outside is the landlord's responsibility.
Yeah.
So you're not responsible for what goes on outside the building. The landlord's also responsible for the structure itself.
Yeah. So inside, if they tripped over a child's toy or a skate or something and broken arm,
that's on the renter.
That's the renter's problem.
So
see, I didn't know that. Did you know that?
No.
And liability insurance is really cheap. Most of your renter's policy premium comes from the contents, the dollar amount of contents that you have in the home. Furniture, clothing, jewelry, furs, electronics, whatever it might be.
I love the way he looks at me when he says jewelry and furs.
He's got your number.
Most women like jewelry, right?
And furs.
And furs too. And clothes. Yeah, the renter's insurance policy is for your wife, not really for you, if you're your wife. But
make sure you can afford her wardrobe.
There you go. Anyway, I was in a briefing yesterday, and on the topic of what we're talking about, this is just really points up the need for making sure that you have what you need as far as insurance. But in that briefing yesterday at the chamber with the people from FEMA, as they were briefing the Long-Term Recovery Committee, they threw out some numbers about the number of people that have signed up and registered, and the people who had insurance, people who didn't have insurance. An astronomical number of the storm survivors did not have insurance. And these were not just homeowners, renters who had no coverage, no insurance, and they're just without.
Well, several things there.
Incredible.
For the folks that own their own homes outright, there's no bank or mortgage company involved, it's not required.
Yeah.
So they don't have to have it. Yes, it's good to have, but a lot of folks say, well, I mean, I've written some homeowners policies for $350 a year, and I've written some for a little over $2,000 a year.
Yeah.
So it
depends on the
value of the home, how far
yeah.
they are from a fire department, all this stuff. And some people say, well, a couple $100 a month maybe. And you know what? Nothing's ever happened to me or my mom or my dad, anybody I know. I'm gonna go without.
And then boom, overnight you don't have a house.
We always think, and we think of fire is what we typically think of, or did think of.
Until several weeks ago.
Yeah.
But it's incredible. I was just, my mouth actually dropped. I was just shocked, and people around the room in the conference room there were just, you've got to be kidding. That many people, a huge, high percentage of people had no insurance, and of course they're victims of the storm. And of course hindsight's 20/20, as they say. We'd, wish they could go back and redo it, but it's too late. So it's a small price to pay for a little bit of peace of mind in case a disaster does happen. And these disasters seem like they're getting more frequent.
Yeah.
I heard just yesterday, unheard of to have tornadoes in Massachusetts. They had 7 yesterday in Massachusetts, 4 people killed. So it's happening everywhere. So that's one area I don't think we should skimp on, is making sure that we are adequately covered, not only for yourself, but for your family.
And you know what a lot of folks probably don't realize, what I didn't realize until I got into insurance and really started playing with the numbers, and you can actually obtain a renter's policy in addition to your auto, depending upon the options you have, the deductibles and the dollar amount of coverage you need and whatnot. But you can actually, it's possible, I've written several renters and auto combo policies, a multi-policy with the discounts and everything, cheaper than the standalone auto would have been.
Really?
So what I'll do most times, if a person comes to me and says, hey, we want an auto quote, I'll find out if they own or they rent. And if they rent, without them even knowing it sometimes, I'll go ahead and pull up a renter's policy. I can move through that really quickly. And I'll give them the standalone auto price. And if I can see that I can save them some money on the auto or the whole package, giving them more insurance, giving them a renter's policy in addition to it. I'll show it to them. I have to be kind of careful how I explain that because they didn't come in for renter's policy. But I'll say, listen, I can not only give you car insurance here, but I can give you a renter's policy as well for less than just the car. You get 2 for 1 or a twofer, we used to call it.
Yeah, right. And the renter's policy, they don't own the house, but it protects not only them from liability concerns if someone trips inside their house, but let's say they've got, I guess most people would have an average of between $20,000 and $75,000 worth of personal property, which would be described as what? Their bedroom sets and their washers and dryers and
everything inside the home.
Yeah, knives and forks and silverware, and if you added it all up, you have any idea what it would be worth? I tried to think the other day, and if I had to go to replace all this stuff at today's market price,
well, fresh out of college,
I wouldn't want to do that.
Fresh out of college, maybe 10,000 or so.
Yeah.
And then as life goes on, I have a theory we're all kind of hoarders at heart.
Yeah.
And we're fighting, to get rid of stuff and to not hold on to things over a period of time. We're all creatures of comfort. And we like the things around us, and we get emotionally tied to things. So the longer you've been around, the more stuff you accumulate.
Yeah, and the linens and. Yeah. When you start going through it all and replacing it, it's expensive. So what it would be a good average policy for someone who may have been in the housekeeping for 10 to 15 years, maybe $50,000 to $70,000 in contents?
Policy, that's, let me say 50,000 would not be overdoing it in a lot of cases. Let me not say an average policy because it's all over the board.
If you've been in housekeeping for 10 to 15 years, you probably need at least a $50,000 policy on your contents.
And conversely now, a lot of homeowners have more contents coverage than they want, so they'll come in and say, I don't need $100,000 or $150,000 worth of stuff. I don't have that much stuff. I don't need that much coverage. Can we lower that a little bit? And oftentimes we can. A lot of insurance agents that I've heard talked about, not by name, but the previous agent they had or whatnot wouldn't adjust that. I don't know if their systems wouldn't allow them to, but ours certainly do. So if you don't want a whole lot of coverage, sometimes we can knock that down a little bit and save you a few dollars, but it's really pennies on the dollar, so it's really...
Yeah, it's very inexpensive. Renter policy is very inexpensive. I forget what mine was, but it was like $2 a week or a month or something like that.
I've written for less than $100 a year, and then more than $400. It really depends on that dollar amount of...
Yeah, and it's a great investment.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay. What if you're renting and you hire someone to, the guy at the street or whatever to clean the gutters, okay? Outside, and he falls, hurts himself.
He better have his own policy. If he's a contractor, he should have his own policies to protect workers' comp or an accident policy or health insurance. So maybe if he has to go to the hospital. You should not, in my experience, be liable at all. And if he's doing it, he or she is doing it of his or her own accord for a fee, it's probably arguable whether the landlord's responsible as well. And so a contractor certainly should have their own,
so
their own insurance policy.
Important to know who you're hiring and what kind of business.
Yeah, but oftentimes, little jobs like that sometimes, and especially in today's market, people are looking for those extra jobs, and
they're not always, they're not always contractors in a sense and have all that.
There's a lot of business owners that don't have insurance. A lot of guys that do odd jobs don't have insurance. A lot of auto drivers, auto owners that driving around town that don't have insurance.
And that's of course against the law.
Yeah,
it happens.
It's wild.
Yeah. We have to take a break. Go ahead. You had something to say?
Oh, no. I was just curious about that.
Have to take a break. It's 7:19. Byron Winter's our guest with Landmark Insurance and Brokerage. Where are you located, Byron?
Across from the YMCA on Stewart Road, the old Coppinger building, as a lot of folks might know it.
Just go in and see them, or you can call, and they can fix you up, especially in this aftermath of the storm. A good reminder, you need to check your insurance policy. Make sure you're up to date. Things do change over a period of time. If you haven't done what I call an inventory of your insurance needs in the last 10 years, it's time you did it, because things do change. 7:20, back in a moment with more on the Tennessee Valley this morning.